Baby, I just read something that made me put my phone down and stare into space for a minute. Donald Trump, yes, that Trump, is out here talking about clearing every homeless person out of Washington, D.C. immediately, and then hinting about a straight up government takeover. Y'all, is this a cleanup or a coup? Let's talk. See, I wasn't even going to do a video today, but when I see power moves that smells like control, look like control, and stomp all over people who don't have power to fight back, yeah, I gotta say something. Because this right here, this ain't about just beautifying the city. Oh no, baby, it's deeper than that. So, Mr. Trump hops on his little Truth Social soapbox and says all the homeless people in D.C. gotta be gone. Not housed, not helped, but gone. He said the federal government will give them a place to stay, but then he slipped in that part about it being far from the capital. Translation, we don't want y'all here where people can see you.
If the priority is to show force in an American city, we know he can do that here, but it won't be because there's a spike in crime.
President Donald Trump says he's unveiling a plan for Washington, D.C. today. It follows his threats to assert more federal control over the nation's capital.
We've got to get the mayor to run this city properly. This city has to be run. You know, I have the right to take it over.
Trump says he wants to remove homeless people from the city and find them other places to stay. Homelessness is up across the country, with 770,000 people experiencing it last year. That's an 18% increase from 2023. But advocates say removing homeless people makes the problem worse by marginalizing them more. Meanwhile,
I think it's a disgrace that tourists and visitors come to Washington, D.C. and they don't feel safe.
Trump says he wants to reduce crime in Washington. A source says he's sending FBI agents on patrol with local officers. He can take over the district police force in certain emergencies, though it's unclear if he'll try that. He also controls its National Guard. Records show crime in D.C. is down sharply year over year, but a former DOJ staffer was assaulted there recently.
It seems to be that Democratic cities get sort of called out. People that are friends of the president get special treatment. All of a sudden, federal forces are called on to police the entire city.
Donald Trump is hinting that things are going to start ramping up. He's now just put out a post and he says, we're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. I'm going to make sure our capital is safer and more beautiful than it was ever before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital. And this point, the criminals, you do not have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring in to zero in the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no more Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. This is now highlighting that he's gone from the border, he's gone from illegal immigration. Now it's focusing on the people and the streets of the US. People are going to start seeing it a lot more with their own eyes. They're going to take action. He's already shown us that he can call in the National Guard anytime he wants. Well, now we're going to see it. And this will start replicating across every other state throughout the country. But it's also going to be echoing around the world because we've got problems all over. Donald Trump now can snap his fingers and things will start moving. This just highlights now that things will start building up in the momentum. And he says it's all going to happen very fast. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no more Mr. Nice Guy. He means business. So pay attention to what starts happening. He's a man of his word, and we're going to see it in action.
Now we're going to check out a fact sheet from the whitehouse.gov and see what they're actually doing. So this is a fact sheet. President Donald Trump takes action to end crime and disorder on America's streets. This is July 24, 2025. Here's their plan: ending vagrancy and restoring order. Today, President Donald J. Trump signed an executive order to restore order to American cities and remove vagrant individuals from our streets, redirecting federal resources toward programs that tackle substance abuse and returning to the acute necessity of civil commitment. The order directs the Attorney General to reverse judicial proceedings and end consent decrees that limit state and local governments' ability to commit individuals on the streets who are a risk to themselves or others. The order requires the Attorney General to work with the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and the Secretary of Transportation to prioritize grants for states and municipalities that enforce prohibitions on open illicit drug use, urban camping and loitering, and urban squatting, and track the location of sex offenders. The order redirects funding to ensure that individuals camping on streets and causing public disorder and that are suffering from serious mental illness or addiction are moved into treatment centers, assisted outpatient treatment, or other facilities. Now, they didn't say what the other facilities are. Could possibly be FEMA camps, or who knows what they're doing with these homeless people. Now, the order ensures discretionary grants for substance use disorder prevention, treatment, and recovery do not fund drug injection sites or illicit drug use. The order stops sex offenders who receive homelessness assistance from being housed with children and allows programs to exclusively house women and children. Ensuring Americans feel safe in their own cities and towns, President Trump is taking a new approach focused on protecting public safety because surrendering our cities and citizens to disorder and fear is neither compassionate to the homeless nor to other citizens. The number of individuals living on the streets in the United States on a single night during the last year of the Biden administration was 274,224. It was the highest ever recorded. The overwhelming majority of these individuals are addicted to drugs, have a mental health disorder, or both. Federal and state governments have spent tens of billions of dollars on failed programs that address homelessness but not its root causes, leaving other citizens vulnerable to public safety threats. Shifting these individuals into long-term institutional settings for humane treatment is the most proven way to restore public order. Making America safe again, President Trump is committed to ending homelessness across America. In 2023, President Trump said, "We will use every tool, lever, and authority to get the homeless off our streets. We want to take care of them, but they have to be off our streets." In March 2025, President Trump signed an executive order to beautify Washington, D.C., directing the National Park Service to clear all homeless encampments and graffiti on federal lands. In May 2025, President Trump signed an executive order establishing the National Center for Warrior Independence, a place where homeless veterans can go to receive the care, benefits, and services to which they are entitled. As part of First Lady Melania Trump's Be Best initiative, the Department of Housing and Urban Development announced a $1.8 million investment to prevent homelessness among young Americans aging out of the foster care system. And don't think he's just talking. Federal agencies have already been told to start clearing encampments on federal land. This man is moving like it's eviction day in the nation's capital. Now here's where it gets messy. Trump's hinting about stepping in and taking more control over D.C., like not just kicking people out of public spaces, actually flexing federal power over the city. Can a president do that? Not just off of vibes, no. But baby, if you control the agencies, the money, and the boots on the ground, you can make life real uncomfortable for a city until it bends. Why this isn't just cleaning up? Let's be clear. Homeless folks in D.C. are not just random people camping out. We're talking veterans, working people who can't afford rent, people with disabilities, single parents. You start clearing encampments without real housing solutions, you're not solving homelessness, you're just hiding it. And hiding it doesn't make it go away. And you know what's wild? Every time he talks about this, it's packaged with law and order language. That's political code, y'all. It's not just about safety. It's about showing who's boss, flexing on local leaders, and letting the whole country know I can do what I want. Today is D.C. homeless, and tomorrow it could be your city, your mayor, and your state. Let me give you the facts so you know I'm not just ranting for fun. Reuters reported the exact statement about moving people far from the Capitol. The Washington Post says FBI agents and possibly the National Guard could be deployed. Legal experts told PBS that a full takeover ain't simple, but heavy-handed federal moves, those can happen real quick. So don't think this is some far-off theory. This is already in motion. Now, when you sweep these folks out, you cut them off from outreach workers, their social networks, even the little safety nets that they do have. Most end up either in jail, in a shelter miles away, or back on the street somewhere else. And guess what? That's not fixing the problem. That's just shuffling people around like they're trash. This ain't about homelessness. This is about power. It's about controlling what's seen, controlling the narrative, and controlling the city that makes the laws. Because if you can dominate D.C., the capital, you send a message to every mayor, every governor, every voter that I run this. Y'all can dress it up in public safety all day. I see what it is. So I want to know, are you cool with the president coming into a city, pushing people out, and possibly overruling local government if they don't like it? Or is this just the kind of order we need? Don't just say yes or no. Tell me why. I'm going to be in these comments reading, so be real. Let's talk. Like this video if you're tired of leaders playing power games with people's lives. And subscribe if you want somebody who's going to keep it real about what's really going on out here. And remember, silence is approval. So if you don't speak on this, don't be surprised if it knocks on your door next. Bye.